We have come to the point of the offseason where we're trying to kind of get into nitty gritty aspects of this team and specifically the running back position. The running back position throughout the entire draft process has been a big focal point, but we weren't able to address it within, until the seventh round. But as of right now, with the current roster that we have, we're going to be definitely making some changes and insights when we go into training camp and when we go into OTAs as well. We're going to have also the cuts, before the final roster, 53-man roster is announced. And as of right now, it's DeAndre Swift, Roshan Johnson, Kyle Manangai, and Travis Homer as our like four running backs that are currently in our room. And the real question is, are the Chicago Bears going to do anything to address the running back position? Because it seems like besides the edge rusher position, which that's a whole can of worms that we have to deal with when it comes to like Trey Hendrickson being available, and the current roster that we have when it comes to paying the various players that we got during free agency. But the running back position is still a question of concern, and like very, you know, respectfully so, because it's not the best or most strongest position that we have going forward. What is up, guys? Welcome back to Soback Sports, and I'm so back with another video. And today I'm going to be discussing, what the current rumors are when it comes to the Chicago Bears, what actually occurred during the draft process, and the whole idea of not getting a running back till the seventh round. I'm going to be breaking down all that down for you in this video. But please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel, and let's get to that as well. So as of right now, the Patriots recently put out a video on their channel. If you want, you can go check it out. And it's pretty much basically deep diving into their whole draft room process, what happened when it comes to, their entire draft process, like I guess said. And when it came to the 38th overall pick, it was kind of leaked about how, there were some decisions that were made before that, and they were pretty much dead set on getting Travion Henderson, pretty much. And as of right there, they were kind of going through the whole process of the calls that they were receiving, who was going to call, and one of the key players that it seems like, according to insider Mark Rice, touched upon the Bears' efforts to trade up to 38 overall pick, and the assumption is that they wanted to get Travion Henderson. That's pretty much it. And pretty much the Patriots pretty much went with saying absolutely not. We're going to stick where we are and take Travion Henderson before you. And at that point, it's kind of likely that the Bears decided, let's not reach on a running back this early. Let's take best pick available. And that's what it seemed like when they ended up drafting Luther Burden the third out of Missouri. And I like that move still. Don't get me wrong. At the time, I was like, initially, it was like, okay, we need a running back because it's a big key position that we need since Ashton Genty was not available and Omarion Hampton was not available. So what's the move now? And we took a wide receiver, which means that we're going to have a lot of wide receiver help. And especially with Keenan Allen's departure, most likely, it's going to be important with that. And the fact that we just waited and waited and waited for no running back pretty much until the seventh round pick. And listen, Kyle Mananga could be very good. He has the potential. He has the intangibles to be very, very good. But with all the running backs available, like a Dylan Sampson, what else is there? Caleb Johnson, etc. Like there's so many running backs available, but we decided to wait till the seventh round and address other positions. That being said, I think that the Chicago Bears are not done. I think that there's a potential if in for a training camp they don't like what they're seeing, and they will decide to add another veteran running back to the position. And according to some insiders, insiders believe that, let me increase it a little bit more for you guys. Insiders believe another running back is on the move and is coming to Chicago. Um, as much as I like DeAndre Swift, as much as he's been under a pretty terrible system in Chicago last year, not being able to run effectively, and yes, he has his own issues as well. He's not a perfect running back per se, but as a receiving threat on the outside, he is really good. It just he wasn't utilized properly. While he does have his issues, and he worked with Ben Johnson earlier, I think that if there's an opportunity to improve that position, whether it's adding a running back, in free agency still, and who won't cost a lot to get, I think the Bears will take a chance on that. And in free agency, you know, they have to also ask another question as well when it comes to the running back room. Roshan Johnson is on this roster still. Can he live up to the potential that he was drafted to? As of right now, we still have a big question mark on that. Can he do that? We'll have to really see, and how he is able to elevate and given the opportunity. And I think that's what it is, because here it says Roshan Johnson realistically could be have been seeking an opportunity. Um, he has to have make sure that he takes this. And as of right now, the primary competition is DeAndre Swift, who has a different skill set, and rookie Kyle Monangai. I'd expect the Bears to add a backfield before training camp. And that's pretty interesting, because as of what I said, it was me mentioning that, after training camp and stuff, they'll start to address that spot. But as of right now, it seems like they're trying to jump the gun on that and get a really premier running back before that. Well, there are probably not that many available, but as of right now, there are two in my mind that will be important aspects to it, and it's mentioned here in this article as well, with Pro Bowler Nick Chubb and J.K. Dobbins are pretty much the two that I really would be interested in getting, and I would also won't mind Jamal Williams as well, and I'm going to talk about him before I get to the two that I wanted to do a deep dive on. Is Jamal Williams worked with Ben Johnson and had his best season under Ben Johnson before he moved on to the Saints. And while that's great and all, like, I really do appreciate that, I feel like with his lack of production on the Saints and his injury history as well, that also plays a factor into, playing with the Chicago Bears. And that could very well work if Ben Johnson really likes Jamal Williams to be on this roster. He will get Jamal Williams on this roster, and I don't think the New Orleans Saints and whoever he's on right now. I forgot what team he's on, but will be like pretty mad about getting rid of him or moving him off, their roster. And listen, it's the waiver wire at the end of the day. And Nick Chubb being an opportunity, needing a new space probably, because especially with what the Cleveland Browns are doing right now, it's kind of like in flux of what their position is. And Nick Chubb also is coming off a major injury or multiple major injuries. And J.K. Dobbins, another injury prone running back as well. But I think while our running back room does have a lot of issues and it comes to that, I think that having the relatively decent talent on that roster, even if it is a problem, can benefit a running back that has a lot of tread or has a lot of miles on them. And let me explain why. Let me show you Nick Chubb for an example. So Nick Chubb, these are his stats. If I can increase it a little bit more. Yeah, so Nick Chubb, in the last two seasons, injury history, that's already pretty much a given. Before he went down, he had four receptions, 170 yards, 0 touchdowns. It was in that Steelers game, I think, when he went down, and then came back and only had 332 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3.3 yards. Huge drop off as well. But you got to keep in mind, Cleveland was already in flux as well. They were boasting for the second overall pick in the NFL draft. So they weren't necessarily helping Nick Chubb in his case as well. Kevin Stefanski was also all over the place with his play calling. And they were just at that point trying to tank. So having Nick Chubb in wasn't really, a benefactor to their winning. It was just them trying to stay afloat for the NFL draft and kind of work from there. So having Nick Chubb with the current Bears running back room with DeAndre Swift and Rosen Johnson, let's say like those two are the only two we're going to end up keeping, and Kyle Monangai is going to be on the practice squad or something like that. That's a pretty solid running back room, and especially behind a decent offensive line that the Bears have created, I think Nick Chubb can be successful here. And that's what's going to be important. Having a decent offensive line, play calling with Ben Johnson, with the run heavy scheme at times when you need That, and you also have Caleb Williams as well, because Caleb can also take the load as well when it comes to, the passing game, and it doesn't necessarily have to rely on Nick Chubb to be the focal point of that offense. So I believe that Nick Chubb would be a very good addition to this team. And then similarly, let's talk about another player that I mentioned, J.K. Dobbins. And I know that J.K. Dobbins, his history has been, injury history wise, has been all over the place as well. He has been on the Ravens, and this past in 2023 had a major injury. I think it was his ACL or something like that. Came back with the Chargers, had a great year. I know he's never hit 1,000 yards ever as a running back, but he came damn close. He, especially last year, he was a career year for him. 905 yards and 195 attempts, 32 receptions and 9 touchdowns. He was absolutely killing it for the Chargers. And with him being on the block, it's very likely that Ben Johnson can take that opportunity with him. And get it also keep in mind, what do Cleveland and the Los Angeles Chargers have in common? They were very run heavy. With the Chargers, you had um, uh, Greg Roman as their offensive coordinator with Jim Harbaugh, and they ran the ball a ton. So with the Chicago Bears, it's more pass 50-50, pass and running. So J.K. Dobbins can definitely thrive in that system. And I think that with this system that we have, with a lot of play action, a lot of running back help when it comes to the offensive line help, I think that could be very good for him as well. So let's go back to the whole thing where we started. The fact that we never picked up a running back at the end. TreVeyon Henderson definitely would have made sense, like this play said. Like, we could have definitely benefited that the running back position would have been solved. Kyle Monunga could be pretty good, but as of right now, if we got TreVeyon Henderson, I don't think we're even having this discussion. But I think even though he made sense, I think there were a lot of other holes as well to really fix them. And I think that's what, once like the main targets for the Chicago Bears were gone, like TreVeyon Henderson, Omarion Hampton, Ashton Jeanty, they were all gone. It seemed like they just wanted to pivot, and they decided, okay, we'll figure this running back position out later on, because that's not the biggest concern. Because Caleb Williams' development at the end of the day is the biggest concern and the biggest priority going into next season. That's going to do it for today's video. Remember, let me know what you guys think about, if there's another running back that I missed that could benefit in the Chicago Bears system. Let me know down in the comments below. I love to see what you guys have to say. Always remember to like and subscribe to the channel. It really means a lot. It really helps me create content like this for you guys. But yeah, more videos to come. And as always, we'll see you guys in the next one.